Is sending a declaration of freedom of passage, drawn up by the pirate minstrels of the good ship Liberty. Arr! Swab them decks! We, the merry crew of this green and embattled planet, today gather together again and do hereby occupy this common land in the name of life, lungs and liberty.
Look at the cute little yellow thing. I'll go. There he is. Someone in the head minister.
Can I ask what's going on?
G'day. How you doing? Yeah. You here for the convoy?
Huh?
Here for the convoy?
Yeah.
Where is everyone?
Don't know.
Do you know, when did you get here?
Pretty much now.
Now? Same as us.
Yeah.
And
Just go through the swarm of locusts.
yes, we did. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, are you humans or aliens?
We're from outer space, man. We're here to save the planet.
Alright, excellent. What's your name?
My name's Venus.
Venus. I'm Starlight. Nice to meet you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm Earthling.
Hey, Earthdream.
It came to us as a group in London in 1988. It seemed that 2000 was a nice date, far enough ahead not to panic us. And this was 12 or 13 years ago now. I wouldn't say that I or anyone else has been fully focused on the Earthdream project throughout all of that time, obviously, but it's always been close to the front of my mind. We decided years ago that though we were, in a sense, socially isolated, we were perhaps living nearer the bottom end of what might be seen as the social scale. We were living in buses, we were living in caravans, we were itinerants basically. Artists, musicians, multi-talented people with a vast spectrum of skills and qualities, choosing to take on a different set of problems.
Spiral Tribe had already been doing 91 with other groups. Mutoid Waste were on doing their thing, Circus Warp, Circus Normal. There was all these big groups of people doing stuff in England, doing the free party circuit. 92 it just basically kicked off.
I've experienced years of overcrowding in Europe. Australia always seemed to me to be a land where space wasn't a problem, and it seemed like a natural evolution for us, if we were going to travel out of England, travel around Europe as we did, to also travel around Australia and explore this amazing land. Mad Max might have had something to do with it.
1993 December, it was in Berlin and we drove out. It was the Bedlam Sound System's first mission out, and we drove to Berlin where Spiral Tribe had already been there for a couple of years or a year, and Mutoid Waste had linked up with them and they were doing stuff in Berlin. So we went over there with our sound system to assist on their New Year's Eve party, which is at a place called Tacklers in Berlin. Brilliant New Year's Eve party, loads of madness, loads of pyrotechnics and loud music and what have you. And met Robin for the first time.
Well, in '97 I went over to Europe from Australia, where I met a whole lot of people that were talking about Earthdream and coming to Australia in a big convoy.
Yeah, I read about it on the internet and got quite excited by the idea of combining, the fun and the activism, music cultures, theater performance cultures with some frontline activism.
I'm an artist, and I love to play with big lumps of waste material, and if I can achieve that in the desert, then I feel that I will have satisfied that side of my makeup.
It was after that I met Robin Mutoid, and he filled me in on the rest of the Earthdream vision, And I thought the two things could combine forces, the convoy through the desert with anti-uranium actions.
Got to remember it was minus 25 in Berlin. Yeah. So when we heard, yeah, centre of the desert, yeah, we're up for that.
I'm Fergus Hayden and I'm from Ireland and I'm going to the Earthdream in some peculiar circumstances. The story was this: bad fuel pump or fuel filter, and it's new and it didn't work, but now we got a new one and we're on our way again, so let's go. Well, we're overlooking Port Augusta, which is right down over here. So we're near our destination of where we should have been for the start of the Earthdream.
You on time?
We're a day late and we're hoping to catch up.
Hello there. Are you here for the convoy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when did you get here?
Yesterday. No, day before.
Yeah?
Yeah, we've just been staying out up the road.
Okay.
Now we'll just come in, get some food.
Where's everyone parked up? Is there a mob here?
Well, a lot of them heading off yesterday, so we're being around.
Nice actually seeing so many people here. It's only the last couple of days. I'd say we got close to 100 cars. I counted about 90 this morning, I think, just around, and there weren't any. There was half that at least yesterday. So a lot of people, I think, maybe arrived last night.
Our first transmission, radio Earthdream, right now.
Land. Too bad that those things got banned. To the point they got brought up and put on the shelf. Oh, ill help is the result of that crap. I don't know, but our jaws will flap on and on. Boycotting Bob.
We live in a technologically based society, most of us anyway. I didn't grow up living on the land or anything like that. I don't know very much about it at all. I'm technically trained, I'm an engineer, I'm a musician, I do all kinds of things. And I like things like cameras and musical instruments and cars, and I think that's great stuff, but we've got to be sensitive about how we use it. You know, we've got a lot of power in our hands now, and we still don't know how to use it. To me, Earthdream is kind of like an environmental movement, but we're trying to take account of the technology as well. We're trying to get some people up to Napabunna. It's a community that the Anjamatna, this is their land here and all the way up through the Flinders. They've asked us to come up and talk to them about what we can do to help them with Beverley uranium mine. Beverley's an in situ leach uranium mine. It's a pretty evil process where they pump sulfuric acid into the ground and it leaches out all the uranium and heavy metals, and it mobilises it in the aquifer, and then they pump it back out again. Theoretically they can pump it out again, but of course it leaches into things, and it's right where the Great Artesian Basin is, which supplies all the water for South Australia, this region anyway, which is pretty dry.
Fill your water up here. It comes from Marina Dam, it's quite drinkable.
Oh, here?
Here.
Rainwater.
Here.
Yeah. Good.
Water. Fill your water up here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be, like, before you go up to Lake Eyre, that's going to be the last place where you can get water.
I think it all started when we drove up to Napabunna in the night, and Calvin and Judy and all the Napabunna crew had prepared a big feast for us, lots of roo, big fires, big welcoming, thanking us for coming up to support them, and it was a really good vibe, and there was tons of people and everyone was really enthusiastic to get up there and do something.
The reason why we're going out there today was I don't know, it was...
We don't like what they're doing?
We don't like what they're doing much, and...
Digging our grandfather's grave up.
Yeah,
they're digging our grandfathers up from there.
Yeah, from there kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. That's our, that's our land really, and we don't want it to be dug up.
That's it, eh?
See, they ruined the hot springs for us and everything that was up there.
And we used to like,
And we used to go out there and sit down and have a feed and, you know. I used to take all my kids out there. This one here, I took her out when she was 6 weeks old. She was a baby. Where they dig it now, I used to camp around there when she was a baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
We used to go there.
Now that we can't even go out there now. No, it's more or less. We have to get permission to go on our own land.
Travelled in a massive, crazy convoy. In a massive, crazy convoy all the way up to the mine gates where we set up a camp for 2 days.
The two ETMCs, we're bringing you the knowledge of the birds and the bees. When the government finds out, they're gonna want to ban it, but they can't touch us, cause we're from another planet and their laws just don't apply. Like glue on a muddy shoe, we cry with laughter, swinging from the rafters, and we just come right after with our pink light blasters.
Well, what we found at the uranium mine, because it's a Dreamtime story and I believe it's true. See, it's the old black man, never been seen. When he went there, the ceremony or whatever, that's the time he lived. So he went along to hot spring there, and he was hungry, so he speared a emu. So he thought, this is it, I'll have a good feed, so which he did. And the meat was left over, he put him in the cave there. Then he walked further up north to Mount Hopeless. Then he came back from there and he said, I'm hungry. Oh, he said, doesn't matter, I don't know where some meat is. So he went back where he put the meat in because it went off. Then he was that hungry, so he had it all up. This yellow fat from the emu. So he walked downwards Beverly Mine. Then he vomited it all up. It was a big heap of it. Then it sank down on that. And that's why they call it yellow cake. It's emu fat. And that's why we want to stop it. The old people knew that was there. And that's why, well, the old people told us, now when you got to go up there, when we're dead and gone, you young blokes got to support our sacred area and stuff like this. And that's what we're trying today.
Everyone had been up there at the front gate, doing cabaret shows, singing songs, having a bit of a party, doing the sort of things that we do just daily anyway, waiting to see what would happen. And then it all happened. Roddy wanted us to all walk on with him onto the mine, onto his land, to reclaim his land.
Smashed me with a baton and put me spraying.
You got peppered? Did the security guards pepper you?
They're spraying knives.
Spraying knives? Does it really hurt? Whereabouts are you from?
The community.
Nepabunna?
Do you want these people off your land?
Yes. They handcuffed me, left me in the back of a paddy wagon, lying on my face with handcuffs on too tight, and eventually drove me to a house just on the outskirts of Beverly Mine, where they left me handcuffed to the front of a police car while all the cops took turns to come out and pay me out and tell me I'm a waste of space and all that kind of stuff.
You got to remember that all the people that was at Beverly were a mixed bunch of people. I mean, I'm from London, do you know what I mean? I met people there from Egypt, Israel, you know, and there's a huge bunch of people there, and no one knew each other.
Police went on a violent rampage through the activists' camp, targeting individual activists, many of whom sustained serious injuries.
Back away! Move away!
Yeah, I think that the violence that was conducted by the Special Police Force, the Star Force, was significant in bonding people initially at the start of Earthdream last year. I think it was crucial for that.
After the Battle of Beverly, we were hidden by the Anjamatna mob from the cops. Slowly, people started heading up to Lake Eyre, where we set up a new camp on Arabana land.
Cause when you're feeling lame, jump a new train. Get some oxygen to your brain. When you're feeling lame, you jump the new train. Get some oxygen up into your brain. Cause what we got to say to Heathgate Resources is you ought to be correct, cause you're like wild horses. You run roughshod over sacred ground, and respect for local cultures is not to be found. So why don't we all just go back to America before the Aussie pharaohs start some hysteria? Why don't you all just go back to America before the Aussie pharaohs start some hysteria? Putting out a call to all the rebel youth down for the long haul. That's right, we are putting out a call.
There's just a small issue about the sound systems here. Certain people want their sleep, and certain people don't want to sleep, and certain people can sleep through the music and all sort of things. The issue is some people just hate it, and some people love it. So we've got to find some sort of middle ground between them both. So we're going to have a bit of a meeting about it. What seems to be the problem anyway?
It's really interesting when a touring festival group meets and has to be on site with frontline protesters.
I mean, we've come out into the desert, into the middle of nowhere, so there should be enough space for everyone here to be free and not to place constraints on people, because that's why we've all left society. So we don't have to have these laws saying, at this time you can do this, and at this time you can do that.
It was more of a morning. I tried to do it yesterday and I was told to fuck off. And that's not, I came here respectfully and I got, told to scoot and I was physically pushed out of there. And I don't appreciate it.
And you feel our hearts.
Alright, I've lost the main class. Keep on blurting shit out. It's very disrespectful for the blabbermouths to keep on blurting shit out and not let other people talk, alright? Now, having said that, this backbiting has got to cease. Just stop it. This overgrown gap between Rainbow and Feral puts our mob in too much peril. And our success depends on coming together. So we got to be tough like pants of leather.
I got a bit fed up the other day when there was all those sound system politics. At the end of the day, if someone doesn't like what we're doing, then I don't feel obliged to do it anymore. It gets me down. I've come here, I've done this, I've done all this hassle to get here, and to have complaints, to me. But other people's missions they're different from mine, obviously, and different from what I've always thought about this mission as it's going to be.
Subjectively, I think there's people who obviously have made up their mind about me that I look a certain way too. I think there's even a bit of prejudice in some people. Like, for example, some people as would be described as feral, which I don't really use the term, but of all the people, you know, I've had a bit of slight prejudice, I think, and I felt. The Bedlam crew, that they've taken a sound system from one side of the earth to the other on their own energy and not look for much from anybody. They've just done it.
I think it's gonna rock on a bit from here on. I think it's gonna gain momentum. People are starting to split up a bit, but I think that's good. They're gonna go like that and then come back together and realise what we've got to do, which is the shows and take shows to the people.
We're making a street theatre piece to perform at the front gates of the mine, or in town, or at schools on down the road. Addresses the issue of human mining of uranium and some of the consequences that people will and already are dealing with.
In the middle.
So yeah, we're trying to present sort of a bit of a spectacle involving some circus tricks, but also hitting some of the issues as well, bringing that to people's awareness, hopefully in a fun and lighthearted way.
And over the years it's grown on me anyway, as being I want to take them over a professional production setup, a proper sound system, a proper light show, and on the way we're going to meet some performers, which we have, brilliant performers, and we're going to get a show together and we're going to give them something that they wouldn't normally get, and just to give and not take.
50 cents. 2.50. Because somebody like new, somebody like old, somebody second hand. I'm second hand lady, second hand shop, that's good. I say morning to my husband, I say, funny people, they come my place. Not last night, I dreaming, I said, too funny, I say, maybe come, some people come. He said, excuse me, but yesterday I saw come with plenty cars. I say, earring, and nose, mouth, and cheeks, and everywhere. He said, yes, that's like these people can come. I'm so happy because coming.
My talents, I don't know if they could be used as such. They're developing, maybe trying to fit them in. What could I do, you know? So that's part of it too. You have to learn where you fit in with it as well and find your role, and that gets you more comfortable. And you feel like you're more part of it if you can do something. This is the bubbler, just near Lake Air South. And it's supposedly, I think the water comes up from the Great Artesian Basin. It's just constantly coming up there.
Western Mining Corporation is taking 52 million litres of water a day from Arabana land to aid the processing of uranium at Roxby Downs, the world's largest uranium mine. We were invited by Uncle Kevin Buzzacott to a protest at the mine gates, where we decided to give street theatre a go as a method of diffusing police violence.
With a booming taste, this is the move.
This is a movement of.
This to make you move.
This is a movement of.
This is the move.
This is a movement of.
Miraculous activist activity. Imagine this activist activity decree. Universal law, freedom for the people, for all extremities.
Thank you, you spineless twit. You've condemned your people and your world. Doomed now is your paradise. We're the uranium sisters. We're mutagenic. We're carcinogenic. We're downright toxic. We're the nurses of apocalyptic science.
I see a whole world ready to be corrupted, mutated, infected.
Well, here's the story about Minnie the mutant. She was the product of toxic pollutants. She got an extra arm and an extra feathers on her arms now. She's learning to fly. Hidey, 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 hidey.
It's very theatrical.
We blockaded the road with this colourful cabaret show, which was such a success and had the police so amused that the word spread, and we were soon invited to perform at the local school.
Wow!
Find out as you come out, they're cool. Yeah, definitely.
spread the word about them.
The aim of the show, I think, really is just to make a good connection with the youth of the community. Show them what, fun people that we are. And hopefully that will just make a connection with them on a deeper level. The goal today is not to do anything specifically political. We're changing the show from what we have done the 2 previous times to sort of, not really hit directly or explicitly the issue of the mine or use the words uranium. So it's just the idea is just to be here to have fun, make a good connection with the kids.
How's it going, guys? Pretty good? Thanks for coming today. I know you'd all much rather be in class. You'd all much rather be in class? Surely there's some maths or some English or something like you'd much rather be doing? Oh, right. Well, all right then.
Real theatre on the edge. This is a shit. Scary but good.
I thought it was quite amazing. So much talent there.
Yeah, it fits with a long-running theme that Mutoid Waste have been working with probably since '86 in the UK, when government smashed up the festival at Stonehenge. So we went to Glastonbury with Carhenge, built 3 of them, and that restored the spirit of the people. Since then we've done Carhenge in Amsterdam, Truckhenge in Italy, Panzerhenge in Germany, couple of Carhenges in Australia, and here is Planehenge. I suppose it's a fetish of some sort, but we'll get over it.
Everyone's excited, people have been in suspense for weeks, and now we're going to see if it's actually possible. And by recycling waste, like old aeroplanes or old cars or old whatevers, you're recycling them and turning them into something, people can look at, think about, and hopefully have a laugh at.
Pretty novel idea. I've just come back from a stint of leave and I saw the car arrive before I left, but the planes are certainly a unique idea.
Do you consider it art?
The way it's been done, it's not something I'd do myself, but it's certainly going to leave a lasting impression on the countryside, and it is very artistic.
From the idea to the deed, a natural alliance, a winnable defiance. We're workers, we're greenies, we're bringing down the giants like the stuff of a trunk. When it's cut, we all bleed, but deep in our hearts, there is a seed. Planted, dig and feed, man, grow it. We're everywhere, and you know it.
Obviously the people that have come into this camp have been well prepared. They work together well as a group, and they've overcome any difficulties they may have encountered through the fact that they're working together and looking after each other, which is very important when you're out in these sort of places.
This is what we came here for. This is what we're doing now.
One of the learning curves visible on this journey is how much people are learning each moment, really, about themselves and about being in a group and about trusting the universe as a guide and trusting their higher selves as a guide and going inside themselves and seeing all this shit in their emotional garbage and thoughts and getting them out. I think the dance parties that we put on present us with a time within our community which, let's face it, has really formed itself very nicely in these last 7 weeks. It allows that community to come together and meet itself.
It's not feasible for a promotion company to take something to the desert. There's no 1,000 people to pay the $10 or $20 or $30. So they ain't, to them, you're sitting in Melbourne, Sydney, and should we do this? No, let's not do this. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it. There's no money in it. So for us, we do what we do, and we spend a lot of money doing it, and we earn our money, and we work, and we just want to do it. That's it.
Join us.
Come around this way. Yeah. Take you on a tour. This is going to fly tonight for the kids. They've all made a wish. They touched the eye of the monkey. We all got them up here. They touched the eye of the monkey and made a wish. And when they see the plane taking off tonight, then they'll know their wishes come true.
And here we have our wind-powered sound system. Body.
With eyes.
Big shoulders with these 2 big eyes. We got wind power up here. This puts out electricity, 12 volts. And we got solar power over here, and that puts out another 12 volts. And we've got a big battery bank. And then we run everything off that. So we've got a big 12-volt car amplifier, and then a big inverter, and then we run 2 decks off that, and we're cranking.
The Rasta sound system comes to promote the teachings of King Selassie, and uplift kind of black people and talk about history and culture. Music with a message. It's not just about the party, it's about sharing our experiences and passing on our knowledge and learning what we have to learn from the people that we work with.
We're all living in this one world.
All the people system is sending a declaration of freedom of passage, drawn up by the pirate minstrels of the good ship Liberty. We declare this land a temporary autonomous zone.
Been to all the nightclubs, man. All those four walls are all too consuming. So it's all about come here, dance on this earth for what it is. Beautiful.
And we're seeing a group consciousness starting to blossom. And I think the parties allow that. Perhaps it would be impossible to enact a living and a moving together like this without meeting occasionally and discussing things. But I really believe that we don't need to do that.
There's lots of people who can fit in and say do this art thing or do this music thing or organisation thing, and they can work it out, and sometimes it's surprising how much that works. It really works. And so it's more a kind of a lateral system than a hierarchical system.
You might have specialist pods or cells, those interested and capable in sound, or lighting, or art, or healing, or food, or logistics. And that if an idea or a suggestion is put up, then that idea travels laterally through these specialist groups until a consensus is reached. And I believe that really organically, whatever that decision is, whether everyone agrees with it or not, well, this begs the question, what is a consensus? There will probably always be someone who disagrees, but I believe that the outcome of the decision-making process, when it's run that way, is organically going to reach the correct solution.
This festival's evolving. It's like an art form, like an arts movement. It's more like, except it's humanity, and we're evolving almost as a revolution in a way. It's wild stuff.
It's a new process for most of us. And so we're exploring and we're learning. It's all very well to criticise the hierarchical system of government, but unless you can come up with an alternative, then are you really qualified to criticise it?
I mean, we're all driving in cars, you know, we can't complain too much about fossil fuels, although a lot of us are trying to do things about getting our cars running on alternative energies. We've got a lot of people using LPG, for example, which is a lot better. Some people are starting to convert cars, diesel engines, to vegetable oil, which is, as weird as it sounds, very easy.
Anyone doesn't know, this is a van that runs on veggie oil, and last year we did about 20,000 kilometres running on veggie oil, and it was all for free, and we just pick it up at the back of fish and chip shops. It's used old oil that they're throwing away, and often in country towns and more remote areas they've got a lot of trouble disposing of it because they can't get rid of it and they have to get people to collect it or pay for it to get taken away, so they're usually really happy when we come around and say, yep, we'll take your old oil and run our car on it. We were driving around with a solar powered sound system and a wind powered cinema, and it seemed a bit hypocritical to be sticking diesel in the engine just to cart all this environmentally friendly stuff around. And so we were pretty determined that we had to get it running on something other than diesel. We looked into hydrogen and water powered and a lot of other things, but due to our sort of remote location, the most viable thing seemed to be veggie oil.
Yeah, when your veggie oil's about that thin, your car will run on it pretty much.
So has that been heated?
Yeah, we just heated that up. That's only about 60 degrees, but really you should have it at about 70 to 90 degrees. The thinner it is, the easier it burns because it's just thin and it goes without the
Is there any need to filter it depending on where you source it from?
Definitely, like nearly all the time we have to filter it ourselves, and we'll do a demonstration of that because there's chips, there's chicken rolls, there's fucking chicken bones, there's everything in it, you know. That's what you get when you get recycled oil, but at least you know you're recycling, and you know, it's using a waste product to do something good which has up to 80% less emissions than burning diesel. We've had all different manner of responses when we go into the fish and chip shop or the pub or the servo and ask for old oil. It often actually breaks down a lot of barriers with sort of remote outback kind of places, and sort of breaks the ice, and sort of we've met a lot of amazing people and had a lot of pretty interesting conversations.
Yeah, they love seeing people do things for themselves, you know, and they don't just see us anymore as just, you know, hopeless greenies who just whinge about stuff. They see us as actually doing something about it, you know, and they love that.
Against 10.
300 against 11, like that's in the rules. We fucking said so. Salonika, Newcastle, dead right. Up for the ball, up, fucking dead right.
Yeah, well, looks like there's going to be some crazy ass soccer match happening in a park here in Alice Springs between a team called the Stormbirds, which is a local mixed boys and girls mob, and the Wonder Earthdream team, the maddest soccer players you've ever seen. So come on down, check it out. We're going to be going off, mate, and scoring goals, and scoring loves and hugs and hearts, and charming our way into Alice Springs consciousness, doing our best. Yes.
All the lads and lasses, got to road to see the blading races.
So we have training Tuesday nights here, and it's great that all these fantastic people from Earthdream have come along to join us, and here we're pretty isolated sometimes, and we really appreciate having the stories and vibes of all these lovely people come here to say hello to us.
We got so many players here. What we have to do is we have to tag on and off. So somebody will get exhausted, come over and tag somebody, and we'll replace them.
It's coming out to Earthdream's right wing.
We played well, we had a bit of fun, and that's what it's all about. And we might go for a rematch, yeah. We think we're going to get training and get an Earthdream team together.
Yeah, we need to train, eh? I feel anyway that they cheated, because where we usually play, there's usually scrap cars, dogs, trailers, wind generators, and all that kind of thing for the ball to rebound off to keep it in play. Whereas here, as you can see, pan around there, they've removed all the. It's just completely fucking open. You know, I think that's fucking out of order, and they cheated.
With a message for you from Erica.
Nothing quite like this before. We've had country and western, we've had a few different things, but this is very different for us, yeah.
What is the walk for the black, a walk for the white? Reconciliation, that's what's right. The history books, you know they lied. What they really were about was peace. And he carries the torch from Lakeland to Sydney.
Well, I think it's excellent. It's obviously alternative, but there's room in society for all types of people and all types of messages, and sometimes messages are really powerful in this sort of format.
What are you actually doing here?
Yeah. Just recording some of their vocals in here and playing it back to them, trying to put it with some beats. Okay, we need it a bit louder.
Oh, that's the need.
Let's put this one. I'm trying to do something louder, but it's not going like this.
They asked if I could lead the clan. Then I answered, yes, I can.
But they wanted to have a corroboree with us tonight. I suppose because of what we've done here. Where are we? We're just outside Alice Springs, where we've done Solstice Festival party, and lots of local Koori people come down, and I suppose this is their way of showing back to us, saying thanks, I suppose, and welcome. And, excellent.
After Alice Springs, the cabaret was invited up to perform at the Darwin Fringe Festival. For many people, Darwin was the end of the line for their Earthdream adventure. Some Earthdreamers took up an invitation to go to East Timor, which had recently been freed from Indonesian occupation.
You're going to have to try and get some tape over the top of that because they won't accept it.
This took Earthdream beyond the shores of Australia to the war-torn streets of Dili.
Wow, the day we arrived in Dili was exciting. Shocking. I had never seen a place that was so bombed out. We're the first crew of our type, just a performance crew that's come over. We're just a part of the first wave of rebuilding and hoping to establish a happier life for the people here.
Whoa. So how long have you been there now?
Probably 24 hours. It seems totally out of place to have this place being ransacked and burnt and bombed and people being dragged out in the street, shot, that kind of thing. It's just amazing. First stadium gig for Earthdream, and with the smallest sound system yet.
How many people are expected?
They say somewhere in the vicinity of the least being 1,000 and the possibility of like 15 to 20,000.
I think it's very good and very entertaining because a lot of people Timorese now is so they need something like this.
It's like we're the first group of non-military, non-government or bureaucratic people that they've probably encountered, or at least in a long time. And yeah, they're very open and receptive to the stuff that we're bringing, and it feels really good to be able to share that with them.
Have you ever seen a show like this in East Timor before?
No yet.
So this is the first time?
It's the first time.
I came with the idea that bringing the people some fun, some entertainment, helping to take the next step now, after all the trauma they've been through, was a good idea. Simple enough to spread a universal message through music and performance.
Has there been much evidence of the people's trauma here?
Well, yeah. I mean, everywhere we go, we see incredibly bombed out neighborhoods, completely destroyed. Just about every house that you see in Dili has been burned or knocked down. So you can't hide from the facts of what the people have experienced here. I've often heard it said that laughter is the best medicine, and if that's the case, then we might be seen as some fairly good doctors, because the shows we've put on have brought a lot of joy to the people. It's been really clear. We've really had some great crowd response, lots of laughter.
Enfermera, fiscalize ibon.
Inspector now.
Fiscalize ibon, powoli da.
Corey's quite sick. He's got chronic diarrhea and vomiting and all sorts of stuff. He's just an extremely unhealthy boy. And the doctor's saying it's discovered that his chronic diarrhea is caused by him eating too much money. So we sort of tell him that he can't eat money and stick a funnel up his butt to sort of get everything out.
So a bit of political satire there.
Just a little. And that goes down really well. Everybody just screams with laughter whenever we say, Corey, you can't eat money.
Developed over the course of time here, and our Teton skills have improved using the local language Teton, and that's been wonderful. The skits have featured lots of Teton, and any words that we use in the skits are in Teton.
Aliu is the town up in the mountains, maybe 2 or 3 hours drive on a paved road, but rugged through the mountains, quite winding, which is one of the strongholds of the Falenteel, who was the main resistance movement against the occupation here for years.
Falenteel struggled against the Indonesian army in East Timor for 24 years.
Were many soldiers killed from Falenteel?
Thousand more Falenteels is killed at a time, but not only Falenteel, but also population and children and women also killed at a time.
Terus tanya pulang, terus tambahku onai marah. Simu bangatangnya terus.
We are a part of a tour called Earthdream, and we are travelling with protesters and performers and musicians. We are glad and honoured to come to perform for the Falenteel people.
Yeah, we're staying in the house of Shanana Gusmao. That's what we were told. It's quite a nice place. Shanana Gusmao, in case you don't know, was the commander of the Falenteel guerrilla forces. He was captured in '92 and was released 6 years later. And now it looks like he is slotted to be the president of East Timor. Yeah, we're trying to put together some rhymes for this show that we're doing tomorrow for the community of Aliu, and the Falenteel soldiers will be there. It's really quite an honor. So they don't understand much English, so we're doing our best to put together some Teton rhymes.
Viva Timor Lorosai! Viva! Viva Falenteel! Viva! Yakalai!
Yeah. We did a few skits, the English class scenario where people misunderstand the vocabulary, and I play the teacher and have them stretch your arms, and they're stretching their legs, and they act it out very hilariously, and people get a big kick out of it. The music was quite well received up in Aliu. There's a local music culture there that's quite nice.
Good, yeah, that was really good. They're always really receptive. They just go off. Actually, it went a lot better than I thought. It went a whole lot better than I thought it was going to go. Loads of people with guns out there.
Often at shows, at the end of the show, we get mobbed. The crowds are large sometimes more than 1,000 people, and when the show is done, they don't want to leave. I think the show really begins the minute we hit town, and it just gets intense when there's actually what we consider the show going on. And when we think the show is done, the show is still going on. People are still surrounding the stage, watching us as we pack up and prepare to leave, and that gets a little intense. Sort of feels like the Beatles 1964 or something. And then expressing our respect for the people's struggle, for the Falenteel, for their bravery, for their determination.
atin berani volunteer. Soldado atin berani volunteer. A mi respeto, batimos los rosarios. Viva que viva.
It seems imperative to me now after this trip how much faster we have to work for the world and land rights and human rights issues, and that's something I want to carry on with. I can imagine myself going to a city and just looking around and go, you know, to a lot of people who don't think, you know, they just live their life in luxury, and in a way they don't realise what's that doing. They don't think enough, like, and a lot of change has to come about, and I just want to see from now on where I can actually help out the most.
Well, we're still cruising around as the lab rats in the Veggie van with the solar powered sound system, but with a new addition, Basie Brown.
I can sit here at this angle and I can see the sky, for one. If I want to see the sky in London, I've got to go like that. You know what I mean? And the only other place I've seen a sky like this is Canada, which is the other end of the world, you know. That's probably why. It's just vast, it's beautiful. It's lush every night. Sunset is postcard sunsets, do you know what I mean? Might set up a postcard business.
I'm not going to leave East Timor right now. I've never worked so hard in show business as we have here, and it's been great. It's been a blast, and now I've made so many good connections to the local scene and the music scene, which I've just begun to cultivate. So it could lead to a lot of good things here. I'm excited to stay.
This is related to information that, in particular, the Mayans understood very clearly and left behind for us to decode and understand. That's been left to us largely in calendrical form, mathematical systems, and an understanding apparently of great accuracy of how this part of the universe spins around itself. And when we look at that and see that they understood that the solar system itself orbits the central star, that journey in itself takes, for our solar system, 26,000 years per orbit. So a year for the sun is 26,000 of our years as we spin once per year around the sun. And but this December solstice, the 21st of December 2012, or perhaps 2013, you know, around then, is the actual ending of one of these cycles and the beginning of a new one. Form a window, opportunity, a portal, through which we may perhaps pass.
So is this training?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is finding a new way that will hopefully be the clearest and quickest and most painless and efficient path to that step in our evolution, which perhaps no humanity has ever achieved before. You know, and if this is the case, it's an incredibly exciting time, an incredibly challenging time.
me, I've lived in the bush most of my life, and it's normally been a pretty quiet place. But I hear that the mobile party machine, and that has generated a lot of interest for people in the area. It's provided a lot of entertainment and good fun for people. So anything like that's got to be positive.
You're a legend.
No worries. I think it's charged.
That is mad, yeah.
Oh.